First of all, thank you, Corla, for facilitating
No problem.
and I want to thank the Minister for coming in. And in fairness to the Minister, we've talked about some of those cases down through the last few months, and in fairness, you have been very helpful. I want to put that on the record. Minister, as you are well aware, in all counties indeed, parents of children or young adults with challenging behaviour, intellectual disabilities, do their best right through their life as long as they can do it in every county in this country. And in fairness, there are daycare services that's done, and I recognise that, and there is respite done. But as you are aware, and there's one instance I've talked about to you where, say, one person dies as people get older, obviously, and maybe the other person may lose their health, and there is a worry there of making sure that their loved one is looked after. And this is right around the country. This isn't my backdoor stuff. But unfortunately, we have seen over the last 6 months or 8 months, and as I say, I compliment you. Any time I've gone to you, you have actually tried to always help me, and indeed John Fitzmaurice in the HSE. And we get a reply back from especially one service provider, Ability West, that we haven't the funding or whatever to do something. And then you go to John Fitzmaurice and you try and beat him up about funding, and in all fairness, funding, would be made available. And then you get the thing back that we have to assess the patient. And as you are aware of the incident, the case that I'm on about, among others that we've talked about, where somebody unfortunately passes on in one of those residential places, and then they have to assess the person. And whatever reason, the person, they'll tell you, there's every excuse, and we haven't staff, and we haven't this, and we haven't that, and we haven't the other. But parents are left in limbo. And I think it's regrettable. I think we need to see change in how we're doing this. I do hope, and that in rural Ireland, it's not the solution to send someone from Glensk to Galway City or 50 or 60 miles away, because unfortunately their parents may be getting old. They love to see that person. They have saved the state a fortune throughout the years, because like a lot of these people are incontinent, they're non-verbal, they have done everything they can as far as has been possibly able right through their lives. It breaks their hearts to actually let go. But for the betterment of those youngsters or middle-aged people or adults indeed, they do this to make sure that they have a secure future when their loved one is moving on or in bad health. And we are seeing, and I'm calling it very straight, and there's talk, great people set up a lot of those foundations down through the years with voluntary groups collecting money and all of that. But something has changed in the last 6 months to a year where a lot of refusals are coming, and we need to make sure in every county in Ireland there are children with challenging behaviours, with disabilities, and we need to make sure that we plan for the future to accommodate those as citizens of this country as much as possible. I'm looking at close to me at home in Craig's, and in fairness, you've been down there, where I hope a proposal will soon go in about trying to do that very thing of bringing the services closer to the areas that's required. And I hope Gerard Dowd will be soon sending something into yourself and John Fitzmaurice that can be looked at, assessed, and work with the community to do that going into the future. But it's very frustrating when you've seen that instance where we were told that there was someone going to the family to assess the person. Sure, they never came out for a week after that, and that they had already done it. The language that's used is mesmerising, and those people need help. And I would ask you that case especially, that you would try and resolve the issue, Minister, and thank you for everything up to this.
Thank you, Ceann Comhairle, and thank you, Deputy, for raising this issue. And without getting into the specifics, I know exactly the case that you're talking about, and I cannot imagine what it is like for that mum needing that assistance, or for any mother or father as they age on, needing that assistance to ensure that they understand before their time comes to an end, that they have catered for their loved one. And what we are seeing is a huge growth there's a huge amount of unmet need out there. There's a huge amount of emergency residential, which means that there is no capacity building whatsoever for the planned phase of support. And to be fair to John Fitzmaurice and his team last year, he assisted in 28 planned residential spaces in the county of Galway. And over Galway, we have 458 people availing of residential spaces, which is the guts of 120 houses. But that doesn't mean that providers can't be empathetic, can't be understanding, can't actually reorganise and be a little bit more agile, because there is a willingness there is a funding there within the HSE to make things happen. Absolutely. Like, at no stage can a person be left abandoned and unsupported, or a family feels that they are abandoned and unsupported. That totally goes against the ethos of this government. It certainly goes against the ethos of what I aspire to try and support families on. And that's why over the last 3 years, I at all times have enforced that there would be enough funding there so as we could actually start chipping into that unmet need. And I hope over the next coming months, as we prepare for budgetary, that unmet need and capacity building that is so badly required will actually support the likes of John Fitzmaurice and all his colleagues in the HSE, that we have funding there, but we also are working in partnership with the Minister of Housing to ensure that there's housings coming on stream, and at the same time the revenue pool is there to support the families that have parents that are over 90, over 80, over 70, that they can have proper transitional support, but at the same time ensure when an emergency case presents and a family's back is to the wall, that the funding should be the last thing. It should be the resource to ensure that the staff and the bed is available, that that person can be cared for, and at the same time cared for as close to their home as possible. And we talk about new directions. New directions is about ensuring that as close to home as possible, where the people feel supported in the community, where they're known in the community, and where they're minded within the community. And that would be, and I look forward to that proposal that Ger Dowd and his colleagues, Kieran, will send in to me. But going back to the purpose of what you were talking about tonight, it is unfortunate over the last 12 months that there has been an awful lot of people coming forward who have been seeking residential spaces and who don't feel that they have been supported, or that that capacity has been created to meet their needs. Sometimes they need to, where they're availing of 5-day services already, they need the extra 2 days to ensure that they have a full service made available to them. And that is one of the things that John is very clear about. And to be honest with you, it does not sit well either with the disability manager that we have to go out to private providers when we have well-established service providers who have staff and have a skill set and also know the various people that are in the need. They know their needs, their wants, they know their nooks and their abilities as to how to mind them. So, Deputy, I will continue to work with you on that particular case. And to be fair to the head of disability, so will he, because that case is an incredibly harsh case, and it's unfortunate, since you have been raising this for the last 4 months, that that family has still got no positive resolution.
Good Minister, I welcome everything you've said. To be honest about it, the system is broken, because if the system wasn't broken, I wouldn't have to lay you here tonight and be bringing you in on raising something on the floor of the Dáil if that system was working. But unfortunately, as I've outlined earlier, and it's sad to think even, and it's no disrespect to any other county or whatever, it's sad to think that someone maybe in County Galway has to go looking at some other county to get facilitated for somebody with the, and while it's welcome, I'm not saying we're against it, it's sad to think that, you know, in where you come from or close to where you come from, no one is looking for my back door stuff, but they need to make sure that those people, because what needs to be understood is that it's the last resort when someone puts up their hand, be it in a parent, looking for that help of full-time care. They have tried everything in their power, worked as hard as they can done everything they can to make sure that they would make a good life for their loved one. And it's trying to think of the future and making sure then that they have, for the rest of their life, that they will have, you know, a future of security above all, and making sure that they are looked after properly. And this goes, as I've said, for every county in the country. I'm not talking about my backdoor stuff. I want to put on the record as well, just in case anyone would think that's watching, John Fitzmaurice, he's the same name as me, but he's nothing to me, in case anyone thinks it was. But in fairness to him, we've spoke to him, and my staff have spoke to him on numerous occasions. He has helped us in cases. I hope that this case can be resolved because it's urgent, but there are other cases as well. I don't want to be coming in here picking up just one thing at a time. I think that if we solve the overall issue that you talk about, then it's a job well done, and I thank you for your help in it all.
Minister, to conclude.
Yes, thank you, Karen Corla, and thank you, Deputy. And I want to recognise the hurt and upset it must cause to families that when they reach that stage where they are no longer in a position to care for their most precious, and they reach out for help and they really need it, and they don't find that that help is being reciprocated. We have to work. The system isn't working. There's an unmet need there, and there's two parts that need to make it work. It's my job to ensure that there's enough revenue there to ensure that we can move away from just emergency and building capacity to the unmet need, and that will come in the launch of the Disability Action Plan. And on the other side is I need the Minister for Housing at all times, and the local authorities at all times, to think about disability individuals that we need to ring fence and hold properties for. But can I just share with you and the Ceann Comhairle one initiative I have worked on in the county, and this is to do with Living My Life residential pilot project for Galway City and County, and it is between the Brothers of Charity and Ability West, and where I've ring fenced funding for a 5-year project, and I'm trying to trial it out in Galway where my eyes are on it, no more than your own eyes would be on it, to see actually where we have young people who are able to live independent lives and how we can support them actually into employment and into education. And at the same time, they have the watchful, youthful eyes still of their parents assisting them, and build a residential space for them in their own community. So it never becomes an emergency, expensive emergency package, that we actually are getting in at the bottom, getting in at the start, and actually phasing them into the community. Now, I'd like to tell you that I have the 32 spaces filled, Deputy Fitzmaurice, and I'm 18 months into it. Well, it has taken me 18 months to get 2 social workers. So I would like to see a little bit more progress and force behind it, because this is a model I do believe that can work, so as we can prevent expensive emergency residential at the end, and it also ensures that when an emergency arises, that is prioritised, because we have addressed the unmet need along the way.
Minister, thank you.